I guess
Yeah.
he delivered on that aspect. But again, I feel like he kind of shoots himself in the foot a little bit. He has foot and mouth syndrome where he kind of talks a little too much. I'm a little torn with this finale, man. I feel like the gun jammed a little bit on that one, man. I feel like it's a little
Yeah.
disappointing. It's
Mhm.
a little disappointing in that sense. But
With this finale, yeah.
yeah, tell me how you really feel, man.
I
The
don't
internet
know.
is buzzing.
You
The
know,
internet is buzzing.
so I'm not mad at it, right?
Okay.
But it's also like for the finale that they've been ramping up to, which again, I think those first 7 episodes were top notch all the way through. I was
Mm-hmm.
so happy with like this season so far. Everything was taking me for a loop, especially with Earth X and shit like that. That
Right.
that had me. I was like, how did it was the saddest part because it's like he's like, how was I ever going to notice this stuff? And now you want to go back to those episodes and see that book is there. Maybe see the little bit of
Mm-hmm.
literally Hitler on the fucking wall, and you're like, did I
Right.
miss
Mm-hmm.
anything? I was like, what did I miss? Like, how did I miss any of that? And then also like, how my blinders are on because I'm like, holy shit, there was no minorities there because I'm thinking because they're popping back and forth between our world and theirs and the Earth X, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you don't kind of pay attention to it because you're like, oh yeah, that we have everybody there, we're talking about this season, and then we have everybody here, we talk about this season, and you're only focusing on the family and a hardcore, you know
Right.
what I mean? And also, they only gave this dude Flag Junior only like one cameo. I felt kind of bad about that now thinking about it, but
Yeah. Made him a big doofus in the process. But yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
but again, it's like I'm a little torn in the sense of like I was hoping I let's say if there was 9 episodes, right, and the 9 episode was going to be like the real like at least the first 20 minutes of it was action packed type of thing of like all
Mm-hmm.
these hits, then number 8 would have been a lot more impactful for me because it would have been that nice little lull to get us to where we need to go.
Right, right. And
But
yeah, and I'm right there.
you
I'm right
know
there with you. I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm
Oh
right there
yeah,
with you.
I think that's what it was. It was like especially with like fuck. If we look back at our review for episodes 1 and 2, how much like like theories and hype like Gunn put on for how much we were supposed to get leading up for the next movie and such. It's like I don't feel like it fully delivered besides like plot for the movie.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But
Yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
but like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm like I understand as a finale, it was just kind of like linear for me. Like you know what I mean? It just it stayed on course. Nothing was wrong with it, but it wasn't like I was like, oh okay, that's where we
Yeah,
left.
and that's the thing. And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that finale in any sort of way. There's nothing wrong. It wraps up a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
arcs real nicely.
Mm-hmm.
It sets the stage for what's to come next
Yeah,
to a certain degree. It's not fully setting up for what comes in Man of Tomorrow specifically,
yeah.
but it does, introduce, checkmate and salvation planet and things of that nature. And you're giving us, like you said, that lull,
Mm-hmm.
but we never got the real big, like,
Yeah.
I would say, like, the fight for and it's not necessarily so much about the cameos. I can care less about a
Mm-hmm.
cameo. Just give us. I feel like we should have done more with Earth X. I know we got that in episode
Yeah.
7. I feel was it episode 7
Yeah.
when they
Episode.
almost killed his brother,
Yeah,
right, Keith?
exactly. And that's what I thought they
Right,
might do a quick little, hey, he's coming back faster than what we expected, or at least
exactly.
a moment of him in the hospital like getting rebuilt or some shit. It's ready for because
Yeah, yeah, because it's
that's a
because it's
revenge
definitely
story,
a
you
villain
know?
origin. It's definitely
Mhm.
a villain
Yep.
origin, and that's setting him taking Keith on his villain arc. But
Mhm.
I feel like we got that and just left us there, and then that's it. There was
Mhm.
nothing more added to that. So and
Yeah.
then you also add all of the hype that James Gunn was adding for months, and then throughout the entirety of this season
Mhm.
for episodes 6, 7, and 8, specifically episode 8, which is the finale,
Mhm. Mhm.
about the big cameos that we were gonna see, and it was the craziest thing he's ever done, and it's like, what was the big cameo? Nelson and Fox Shazam? Like, it's like those were the big cameos,
Yeah,
or like
probably.
people are saying that the friends we made along the way were the cameos. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Unless like
but I
brought back
I
pretty
feel
much
a
all
little
of Luther's
yeah.
like entourage from the movie. Maybe those were he
That's
was talking
yeah, yeah.
about.
Honestly, in retrospect,
Yep.
thinking about it, leading up to us recording right now, I was thinking about. I'm like, yeah, that's probably all of the cameos that he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That were the big cameos, because they were in the big feature film. Now they're in the TV
Mm-hmm.
episode. They've been in a couple episodes now, including the finale, and they
Mm-hmm.
were there from start to finish. And it's like, I guess
Yep.
he delivered on that aspect. But again, I feel like he kind of shoots himself in the foot a little bit. He has foot and mouth syndrome where he kind of talks a little too much, and it's okay to hype up your own product, man.
Oh
If
yeah, of
you're a
course.
believer of your own stuff, that's great. Hype it
Yeah.
up. No one's gonna believe in you like you believe in yourself. But I
Did
feel
you
like
happen to
in
see
this,
that mystery like cameo? Chris Hardwick. He made
yeah, I
like
actually
he
saw
just
that
put that.
right before we hopped on. Actually, I did see that.
Yeah,
That
I
was
called
great.
that. I was like, he posted. I was like, oh, hilarious. I'm like, I saw you. You're in there.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was great. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little torn with this finale, man. I feel like the gun jammed a little bit on that one, man. I feel like it's a little disappointing. It's
Mhm.
a little disappointing in that sense. But there was some really good emotional moments
Oh yeah.
in that episode, man.
Hmm.
Honestly, like the one with Adebayo and her wife,
Hmm.
between Chris and Harcourt. Like there was a lot of
Yep.
stuff in there that was really well written and closing out some arcs. And again, we got a good setup for what's to come next to some
Hmm.
degree. And honestly, outside of that, I can't really complain. I
Yeah.
mean, I enjoyed this season from start to finish. I know I had my reservations at the beginning. I remember in that episode where we talked about episodes 1 and 2.
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
a little reserved. I'm like, these first two episodes weren't really doing it for me. But then again, it's episode 1 and 2. You're not gonna get everything into the first two episodes. You gotta let it play out a little bit.
Oh,
So
that's called
I'm glad that I
maturity,
kind
Ozzy. That's called maturity.
no,
You
it
learn.
that definitely is. No, for sure. And that's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna just enjoy the ride and see what he delivers throughout the remainder of the season. And I enjoyed it. There were a couple of jokes, especially with the little imps.
Oh yeah.
It's like Gun. Come on, bro. It's like I get it, but it's like you gotta deviate from that a little bit. Like I don't want to see little imps face fucking people. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Like
they literally
you
did
know,
that, and then on top of that, ate a face. So it's like on top of
well,
the
yeah,
poor guy too.
yeah, poor guy, and then the whole titty bar
Yep.
thing with the
Hmm.
stripper, how he threw up on her titty.
Hmm.
It's like, come on, bro. It's
You
like,
know, honestly, well, in his defense, at least, like, that guy was like, his character was already starting off like that with economists and everything like that. Like in the freaking, he was like, remember, he was
yeah,
like, yeah, like, what were their names? Like, oh, you had twins, like, were they hot? Like, and shit, like, he was already talking about random ass stories like that, which were
yeah, yeah,
ridiculous and
yeah.
shit. And so for that, it felt fitting, but it was also like, it was one of those moments that you should have known the moment that he was having such a heartfelt story about it, making a joke about it. It's like,
Mhm.
oh man, he is gonna die like very soon, like because. But at the same time,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole time
yeah.
I was like, how many people are they gonna kill right now? In this scene of them searching all through the doors,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And like they only made it
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
30 doors in about before they found
Yeah,
the
and that's the thing.
salvation, you know?
That's another thing. I do have gripes. Again,
Hmm.
it was a fine episode. I was okay with the episode,
Yeah, yeah.
but again, I felt a little. I will say it was a little bittersweet
Hmm.
because we were in the QUC and we didn't go through like the doors that we went into. We really didn't explore
Yeah.
a lot of it. A lot of it was just montages of stuff. Like it was like this episode just felt like a huge highlight reel rather than
Hmm.
like outside of those specific moments, character moments that were emotional and actually you know hit the target. But like
Yeah.
seeing that like damned universe with the giant skull spiders and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that there's a portion of that underneath those giant like spiders where it kind of looks like like the world that we see in Creature Commandos,
Okay.
where all of the superheroes are on those pikes and they're all
Hmm.
dead.
Yes.
And it's
Okay,
like
I
there's a
remember
whole
now.
bunch of pikes
Yeah.
there. There's no one on those pikes,
Hmm.
but it's heavily reminiscent of that scene. I was like, I feel like we should have explored that dimension a little more, and maybe not focus so much on the candy world
Hmm.
and the interdimensional imps. Even though that's
Exactly.
been a huge thing. Again, Bat might exist. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Mixie clearly exists in these universes you're introducing. You're so heavy handed with the interdimensional imps.
Yeah.
I feel like dive into that. Introduce, like, bring us one of those two characters. Don't just
Mhm.
toss them away. You know what I mean? Like, or just keep them in the background, and then
Yeah.
when you finally bring them to the forefront, it's those little fuckers,
Yeah.
just
But we
face
definitely
fucking
weren't going to see
everything and
them
shit.
in
But
Peacemaker, at least I should say. You know what I mean, right? It's
I
like,
feel like we could have. I feel like if there
mhm,
was a big cameo that he wanted to deliver, he definitely
mhm,
could have delivered Batmite or something, or
mhm.
some other interdimensional ip other than these little, like, grimly labubus that we saw running around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Again,
and
it's just one
also
of those weird
Rick
things.
Flag Sr. was another thing. Is like he felt so off this episode.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, no,
like
agreed, agreed. It's that was
it's
like
like,
he
bro,
flipped
what
the
the fuck was
switch
that?
so quick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The only thing that felt genuine was when he did the double cross on Chris and everything at the end, and it's like,
Hmm.
that felt genuine just because of the fact that he was already gunning for him for that long. You know what I mean? And like not
Yeah,
letting
yeah.
him get
That
get
made
away
sense
with it.
because that was his whole agenda throughout
Yeah,
the season, for sure.
exactly. But
Hmm.
like that was the most genuine part there. But him going so fast to be like, we're going to make this safe, or maybe again, maybe he went that route because he's like, okay, this is probably the best way I can get my revenge, essentially, and kind of following suit because technically, they were the ones causing all the ruckus right now. No metahumans whatsoever. He literally is
And
banging
that's
a
the
meta
thing,
woman,
yeah.
a
A
metahuman right now.
metahuman, yeah.
He's banging one no less now, and everything like that. And right before she goes, goes
It's like
over,
what is his
you
gripe
know.
with metahumans?
Hmm.
It's like you also slept with that princess in, well, I forgot what country that was in Creature
Oh
Commandos
yeah, yeah,
too.
exactly.
You
Doing
know
that
what I
stuff,
mean?
exactly.
It's like I don't know. He
Hmm.
felt really off in this episode, and I don't understand
Yeah,
why. I know
I
there's a lot of theories going around that it could be Clayface,
yes, I was
but
gonna say yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like I can buy into that just
Hmm.
yet. I don't feel, and a lot of people are essentially boiling it down to him getting his ass kicked by Clayface and Creature
Hmm.
Commandos as to why he hates metahumans so much.
Well, that was like I think there was an additional point. He was fighting everybody from Cersei. He was, he had to deal with all the creature commandos as
Mm-hmm.
well, and which also was funny because it's like technically he made friends with the creature commandos to an extent. You know what I mean? And
Which who are
Frankenstein.
all metahumans,
Yeah,
yeah, of
so it's
course,
like
supernatural beings.
it,
It's like it doesn't make sense to me. I don't
yeah,
know, bro.
something kind of like went a little
Something's
amiss, or
off. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
want to even say maybe it's something with like maybe Lex got a hold of him somehow, or maybe when he was effed up after Clayface almost killed him, they put something in his head. And now the switch, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because Amanda Waller's known for putting shit in people's heads, so it's
No,
like
no,
I
for
could see
sure,
something
absolutely,
along
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
lines. But no, I totally agree. It's like there's certain things that like just didn't like feel right. Funny, don't get me wrong, some of those scenes, like the montage scenes of them, like getting high and shit like that in the freaking deck and all that kind of stuff, while they're like
Mm-hmm.
all these people are getting like almost killed and sucked into black holes and so on. You know what I mean? Yeah, a little comical, but at the same time it's like event, but
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
you just felt like it was like okay, but then there was nothing else on top of that to just
Yeah,
give
yeah,
us
yeah.
salvation. You know what I mean? Don't, but like I guess like the big reveal was that for the comic book readers, knowing where salvation goes to, later on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What like what it did in the comics to where it goes to later. I think that's probably maybe what he was like maybe teasing at, but I don't know. I'm trying to think too. It's like I'm trying to go back. Like I think. Well, funny, like line. The best line was when, when Abs says she's like, "I saw a man be hugged by an eagle." Like it's like I was like that was perfect. I was like she was like I believe in miracles. I was like fair. I was like when is ever an eagle is going to hug somebody? Like that's true.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
definitely
That
as
that
close
is
to a
true.
miracle, right? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's funny.
No, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Again, but I mean, again, I'm torn. I'm still all these days later, and knowing what it leads to and what it was setting up and
Mm-hmm.
what came after it, before it. I mean, again, the biggest thing from here is the Salvation Run stuff, which we'll get into in a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. But
Yeah.
I'm still a little torn. Overall, I still enjoy the season. I'm not gonna sit there and
Mm-hmm.
say I
Oh
did
yeah,
not
yeah.
enjoy Peacemaker, that I did not look forward to a new episode of Peacemaker every Thursday night. So as soon as Thursday night football was done, hell
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm watching that episode of Peacemaker. So again, I enjoyed it. It was great, just like the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's no confirmation right now for a season 3, but
Yeah.
All of these characters will be seen in other projects in the future. Again, Checkmate was set up and introduced at the end of Peacemaker season 2, so that'll tie into the Salvation Run stuff. But I want to rate the season first before we get into the Salvation stuff, so we can kind of deep dive into that for a little bit and kind of enlighten our audience members on the comic book stuff, how it ties into Man of Tomorrow, what James Gunn has confirmed to be setting up, and what the big event film is officially going to be in the DCU. So, you want to give your rating first, or you want me to jump into that?
Sure. I'm because the again, we don't do like the like I was looking toward a 3.75 type of thing, so it's going to be nerdified. I'm definitely nerdifying it, just because unfortunately I felt like it was a little too lackluster for a finale to just be kind of like left at that point. Obviously, that's the only reason why I'm hitting that. But everything else was phenomenal. I love the season. Like, even considering the last episode, they could have even left us at the last, like, episode 7. And I think I would have probably felt better, but more pissed that we didn't have more.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? But I would have probably
absolutely.
felt better. But yeah, 3.5, 3.75. You know what I mean? Very close to nerdified, certified, but just nerdified for me, because it's just I wanted a little bit more from the finale.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. I'm gonna nerdify it. Again, it's a good time, bro. Again, it's a good time. It's the second season of Peacemaker. We got more of the same from season 1, so I can't really complain. I mean, we got a lot of deep character arcs, emotional moments. We got to see some cool stuff that we haven't seen in live action format when it comes to DC and the DC universe. So again, I gotta tip my hat off to get James Gunn for doing things like that, like bringing Earth X into the picture. Even though I wish they would have explored that a little more. Um, Setting up for Man of Tomorrow, bringing in Legs, tying it all to Superman and all that, paving the way for what's to come later. So I mean, I really want to rank it a 4 out of 5, but that finale unfortunately makes me. I gotta drop it a
Agree.
notch. So a 3.5 out of 5. I'm gonna
Yeah,
nerdify it.
and
So
I think it's still solid. Like, again, like that's like it
again,
just
the
shows that we like it, and that's
3.5
solid.
is not bad in
Yeah,
my opinion. But I
nothing
mean, I
should be
enjoyed it.
perfect. Nothing should be perfect, but
Nothing ever should be perfect.
at the same time, look, I think that's all everybody's asked. Like, I was like I said, if there was like at least like 5 to 10 minutes of some type of action, the most action we got was Vigilante tackling, freaking Peacemaker. That's the only thing we got. Like, I was like, damn it. I was like, that's the most we got. Like, at least he followed suit. You know what I mean? He did exactly what he said he was going to do the
there
last
was a
episode.
perfect opportunity to introduce GI Robot in live action in Earth, and we didn't even get that.
Yeah.
Like,
Something.
you know what I mean? Like,
or something along those lines. Like, something could have been done. I don't know. Like, and who knows? Maybe some Eagle Eye fans went deeper or something like that, or maybe one of the other outlets, they saw something we didn't and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, from everything I saw, major things were, like we said, Checkmate, Salvation Run, the Salvation, the planet, and them just giving us, finally showing us what happened on the boat. Spoiler, they kissed, and I thought, I was really expecting more of they woke up like so freaking hungover in bed together. That's what I was expecting, but I'm glad
because
it was
that's
just
what
a
they
kiss.
made it seem. You
Yeah,
know what
of
I mean?
course, it
That's
was
what
like
they made
so
it
bad.
seem.
Yeah, but I think it's so much sweeter that it was just a kiss, because it's like, you don't want to, like, I feel like it's kind of like, it's a cop out if they just made it into a sex thing, like, you know what I mean? And I'm glad about that. I am appreciative of that. Oh, also love that they showed Big Belly Burger. That was huge. Nobody
Of
talking
course,
about, not
of
enough people talked
course.
about that. Like, one of my first times of remembering, one of my, like, the more recent ones that I've read for Belly Burger was in the Batman issues, when him and the Robins all went to Belly Burger because they had to have a family meeting. They ended up going there, and Bruce Wayne is eating a burger with a fork and knife. So it's like,
that is so Bruce, bro. That is so
it's
Bruce.
the best part ever. It's like one of the most
That is so
hilarious
Bruce.
and
That is so Bruce Wayne.
you know what I mean? And I think it would have been cool if they actually showed a little bit of the menu, because then maybe, like, we would have saw that they might have done like because there's a, do you want to jokerize your fries? So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
those
yeah.
little, like I feel like those little things would have made me even more giddy actually, and maybe I would have gave it the 4, just just because of the menu. But that's just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. So again, Nerdified on both ends from
Mhm.
Ed and I for Peacemaker season 2. That is our official rating with the Nerdified stamp of approval. But yeah, let's get into Salvation Run. What is